Hi everybody, good morning. Today is December 5th, 2021, and I guess what you can call this is my video diaries. I wanted to start sharing with the world my experience, and I've been really pushed to talk. I'm going to tell you my story, and my story doesn't begin from a baby when I was born here on earth. It begins years and years ago, millions of years ago. Now, I don't remember all the pieces, but I have pieced enough of it together to be able to share with you my journey. I believe all of us have a journey, and none of us are more special than any other. We all have inside of us the ability to tap into who we really are, what our story is. It's just been made more difficult because of what's been going on in our solar system. So I'm going to try to explain my story to you, and hopefully through my story, you'll be able to find your story. You all have it inside of you, but the biggest block to you knowing who you really are is you. You have been programmed with belief systems. Everything on this planet is a belief system. You need to take your consciousness outside of this planet. Take your consciousness to higher realms that you can travel within yourself. We all have a map of this within ourselves, and I'm going to explain that through my diaries too. But we're going to start off with my story at the root chakra. I meet many people. I've been selling at shows my soap, and I make dream catchers and crystal jewelry and stuff like that. And I meet people, and I started bringing a diagram of the chakra system with me. And people buy crystals, or they buy my soap, which have, some of them have essential oils, some have fragrance oils, but I know that the vibration of the things I sell is really important, because when people buy it, it'll help their vibration as well to rise. Many of the artists I'm meeting, they're on their same healing journey using the same beliefs that I'm talking about right now. We know that artists have been held down for a long time because art is one of the most beautiful creative forms of expression through a human being. I don't care if you're coloring on a coloring page. In mental health, we used to use that because it takes the mind into the meditative state so that you can set aside all of this programming crap that's going on in your head. And I don't even want to say our government, there are groups of beings here who have kept us enslaved for a very, very, very long time. And you have to ask yourself, why? We understand slavery through our ethnic backgrounds. We know how our people been put under restraints through systems such as colonialism and the search for corporate power, I should say. And my belief is that corporations are one of the biggest scourges upon planet Earth. Corporations are set up in a hierarchy that all the energy feeds right up to the top. You know, we understand that the power is at the top, but do we understand that we're feeding our energy to that top? So it's also built upon a type of chakra system, which is an energy system. Now, any of you can go look up the chakra system. Later on, during my video journey and diaries, I will bring up some some charts so you can see it. But I'm just getting started. It's just me and my computer right now, and me telling my story. So I don't want any negative comments. You know, it's a story. Take it or leave it. So here we go. When I was young, I think I was about 3 years old, I had a dream. I had a dream of a woman who came to me asking for help for her son who was crippled in a wheelchair. She wanted me to heal him. And I'm 3 years old, I didn't understand. I'm like, I can't heal him. And she kept telling me, you're a healer, you can heal him. And I refused because I was a confused child. She said, if you don't heal him, something bad's going to happen to you. And so it was pitch dark in my bedroom, and all of a sudden a dead raven dropped on top of my chest, and it startled me into fear. But I remember that dream for a long time because it helped me realize who I am. That something was telling me I'm a healer, whether it was a negative entity or just a mother searching to help her child in a different dimension. So that set me off on my journey. You know, when we're young, we're looking. Many of us grow up in different types of environments. And mine wasn't so bad. I didn't have that happy together home. My parents divorced. They were never home. Me and my sister and my brothers, we kind of were left to our own to do whatever we wanted. And that's how I grew up. I was more like a mother figure in my family because I was the oldest female. So my siblings did kind of turn to me for that. But raising my own children, there were many different types of traumas that occurred that I'm not going to talk about in this video because a lot of the story isn't just my story. It's their story too. So that's very personable, and I'm not going to share that. But I set off on this journey. I want to know who I am. I want my memories back. I know we're all walking around in a type of dream where our memories are disconnected, but they're kind of floating out there, and that was done on purpose. So starting at the root chakra, which is earth, which is where we are now, which is the lowest in the chakra system. And when I say lowest, that means it's the most polarized. And when I say polarized, we can see it, that polarity, as good and evil. But in all actuality, good and evil is on the same spectrum. If you understand Hermetic principles, then you understand what I'm saying about polarity, that we fluctuate between both of these principles. And those of you who stand up for truth and good, and even those who are locked into the doctrines and programming of religion, placing judgment on what's happening now with other things that are going on, you need to understand, and I promise you, somewhere in your many, 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 many lifetimes upon this planet, you were on the other side of that spectrum. We have fluctuated between both sides. We have not always been good. We have not always been bad. We have experienced many different types of lifetimes. According to Dolores Cannon's work, she talked about that. You know, in quantum healing, you know, through the sessions with her clients, they talked about being able to experience everything. Experiencing being trees, experience being animals, being water. I had a client who experienced being the air. We go through all these experiences because we're learning, okay? We're learning who we are. We're learning how it feels to be these things, how it feels to be bad, how it feels to be good. Now, what's happened on our planet is there have been wars that have been going on for a long time over us. When God created us, He created us to have these experiences because He wanted, or she wanted, I'm not even pretending to say I know what God is. But it's not the gods you've been worshiping on this planet, okay? Those gods have claimed rights over us. And they do have genetic ties to some of us, but not all of us. The main commodity on this planet is DNA. It's genetics. That is what everyone's fighting for. Remember that. So when you hear about slavery, you hear about sexual slavery, okay? It's about procreation. It's about using the sexual energy, which is in that red root chakra on planet Earth is where we are, and using it for their purposes. That power is ours. They have stolen it. They have stolen it through pulling your mind out of using that energy to generate your experiences and to help you have your experience like God meant us to, but to generate their experiences. It keeps them in power. It keeps them on top. It keeps them in charge of us because we have allowed them to. So please don't quote the Bible. Don't quote any religious books to try to argue what I'm saying. All of those things have been designed as a program. Okay, let me get back to my story. So I started meditating. If you want to have a spiritual experience, you need to be able to bring your mind into a meditative state to travel to higher realms. A lot of people use sacred herbs to do that through ayahuasca, through mushrooms, even through cannabis. This is why the pharmaceutical companies have been so down on us using herbal medicines, because the plants have memory. Even though they've interfered with our memory, they have not interfered with their memory. Trees and plants are beings, just like we are. They have genetics, they're encoded. So when we take these substances into our bodies, we share that. That is a gift from the goddess. That is a gift from the earth. She holds our memories within her, and she gives them to us through the water, through the trees, through the plants, through our food. When we're growing our food from the earth, we're growing it in the right way without pesticides and other interference with the genetic structures of things, we are re-encoding our memories. The powers that be knew this. And I see my neighbors, I see people spraying pesticides on everything. They have convinced us this is a good thing. They have taught us how to kill our memories, thus disconnecting us more and more from this planet and more from who we really are, finding our story and finding the truth about things. So when you might think, I'm hearing this person, oh, they're just a health nut and they want us to start eating live foods. This is what live foods really do for the body. But don't be fooled by some of the supermarket stuff too, because they're spraying crap all over that. So they have done everything they can to make us forget about who we are. And why would they do that? They do that because they know we're more powerful than they are. And they want to keep us in this submissive state because they chose to disconnect from God. You know, we hear about these beings walking around the planet without a soul, and that's true. I talked about that in my last video. About some of our bodies really get overtaken by these drifting souls because, well, I can't even say souls because they don't have a soul anymore. But back, one of my memories that helped me realize this was I had a session with Debbie Solaris. And hi, Debbie, I hope all is well. And she helps people reconnect to their star family. None of us are originally from Earth, okay? Earth was seeded. Planets are seeded through different means. God seeded us here. We all come from somewhere, all of us, every one of us has a connection to a higher star, to a higher planet, to a higher dimension. The beings that are in this lower dimension that rule over it right now are those beings that decided to cut themselves off from the Creator because they wanted to be the Creator. And when I say they, there are many factions, and I'm not going to get so caught up in the factions because other people have taught about that in a more eloquent way than I can. Study the Voyager books by Ashiana Dean. Many people will say, oh, she's evil, she's reptilian, No. I resonate so highly with her work. I wasn't ready to hear it years ago when I first heard it. I thought the material was too intricate, too detailed, too technical. So I can try to explain some things more simply, but you know, this is where we're at. So if you follow the chakras of the body, and she teaches about what she calls the Templar Scalar. It's a Templar Scalar complex, I guess, is what to call it. In this world, we're given the Kabbala as the tree of life. That is a fake diagram, I can say, because it's given in diagrams. The diagram she gives of how we're really set up, how our chakras should really be connected. And I am going to be teaching later on down the road about how all this connects to us, to the planet, to the galaxy, to chakras, all that stuff. In a very plain way that I can do it. But I remember in the higher levels, let me say this. Our system is set up in like a chakra system. And we have our own tree of life. So the Kabbala, which they're teaching, that tree of life feeds a certain God, but it's not the Creator who seeded this planet. It's the leader God who disconnected from those realms. And they created these phantom worlds, and they're pulling the energy of the different chakras of the system into a phantom system. And yesterday I had mentioned the work of the dark journalist and Gigi Young, and they talk about a being called Ahriman. You really should understand who that being is because it perfectly explains what they're trying to do. Some religions do this as well. The Mormon church teaches that when they leave this planet, they're going back to a planet called Kolob. I think that's what it's called. These are phantom planets. they're even doing work for ancestors to pull their energy there as well. So this is a warning I'm giving to people. If you know, do you know that the Mormon Church, whether or not that family member is Mormon, if they are deceased, they will go in temples and do baptisms in their name? To me, that's taking away free will. Anyway, I'll get off that soapbox right now. So I have memories in this system. I lived on a planet called Lyra. The Lyra in the Tree of Life, which is it really is the overlay of of our system. It was in the higher level. I think it was 10th or 11th. As you go up, it goes up to 12. When you get out of 12, there's a 13, and you got to get through the 13th gate before you can reach the true system that was put into place, because that's where God resides. I see all this stuff around Halloween called the 13th gate. Well, it's being guarded by all these beings of evil because they're blocking our access to it. That's where this came from. They want you to be afraid. They don't want you to go through it. They put their own guardians there to prevent us from getting back home. And that's the purpose of our experiences and what we're doing here. We're trying to help everyone return the system back to what it was meant to be. So my memories of being on Lyra, we had entered into a war with the Draconians. Now, a lot of people talking about reptilians, serpent beings, Draconians. These are all not the same beings. It's meant to confuse you. And everyone's like, oh, these beings are evil and blah, 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 blah. But these are the same beings you're worshiping in your churches. They're the same beings writing the holy books. We went to war. I was on Lyra. They destroyed the planet. They destroyed the entire planet. And many of you know this who have memories from that. That trauma, that was one of the first traumas that we experienced, because it interfered with our grid work of who we are. It disconnected us from that 10th and 11th Stargate access where we resided. So it cut us off from memories from there. And that was the beginning of us beginning to lose our memories of who we are. So the further we come down these portals, this structure, the more memory we lose. Because when you incarnate on a body, say you incarnate on a body, let's say Venus, that unless you're resonating, you have all of your chakras turned on, you lose your memories when you come into that body there, because it's at a lower frequency. So the bodies that are created on the planets where you're incarnating at hold the frequency of that planet. So if that planet is at a lower stargate, it will not resonate with higher frequencies, for the most part. I'm not saying it can't, because what's happening now is many beings are coming in with their memories. You hear about abductions. the purpose of these abductions is they're looking for these people who have these activated DNA structures because they want it. They're looking, you know how the Hadron Collider, they're looking for the God particle? They're looking for the God gene. And these people they're abducting. And if they find someone who has a genetic makeup of something they want into their genetic structure, they're mating with them and creating beings to add that to their genetic lineage. They've been doing this for a very, very long time. They believe that if they can get access to all this genetic information, they'll be able to go through that 13th gate, and then they will battle God. That's what they want. They want dominion and power over everything. But because they cut themselves off from those higher frequencies from God, and they fell, this is the true story of the fall. They fell. And the fall began when they started to destroy the planet. When they destroyed Lyria. This is my belief. I may be wrong about that, but because the Lyria system sits so high upon this structure that when they destroyed it, well, yeah, something just flew by me. When it was destroyed, the fall began to happen. The disconnection from those gates, because God understood that this was a virus. There's councils as well, the guardians who oversee what's going on in this area. They had to disconnect us. You know, have you heard that we're in a prison planet? We're in a prison system. But I want you to know we volunteered to come here, okay? So let me say that. But we were disconnected. I'm sorry I'm going so slow. I'm just trying to explain. They had to quarantine us off. And as you can see, this virus, these beings who were after genetics, when they had made the decision to start killing off other people and they disconnected themselves from God, they began to fall and lose that God spark. The God spark, what that does to us, it gives us emotions. It gives us empathy. And if you begin to develop into a being without any type of love or empathy, you become a psychopath. And the best way to tell these beings are infecting people is because they cannot express emotion. Many of us are in relationships and we always say, oh God, I wish you would just let me know you love me, or tell me you care. These people can't, because they're infected by beings, or they've been totally replaced by beings who do not know how to express emotion. So let's talk about Hollywood for a moment. So they created Hollywood. They created Hollywood so they can learn the skill of emotion, so they can fake us out. They award themselves with awards. The one who's been the most influence, has the most influence over people, over humans, through their acting, through their music. They enslave any human who goes into these, these structures are being destroyed right now. And I think that's why I feel safe coming out, because my guides wouldn't let me talk about this if it wasn't safe. So, you ever heard of in music, I had to make a pact with the devil to be able to, that's exactly what's happening. They're making a pact with something. I call it evil. Just the opposite of live, evil. Because what they do with these people is they suck all of their spark, all of that energy from the creator out of them, and they replace that light with theirs. And then using their body and their talents, because they can have access to your mind and everything, your DNA. They're pretending to be these people, and they're not. And we're worshiping these people. How many of you are walking around with emblems of athletes, or emblems of football teams, or emblems of your favorite singer? You know, their sigils. When you put their sigil over your body, you're allowing them access to your energy. And people pay $500 for a pair of shoes with the sigil because to give their energy to this, you know, come on. It's time to wake up. I'm here screaming, wake the F up. We idolize people. Do you know they clone people? Why do they clone people? They clone people so they can control what these people do, to fake us out. And we're saying, oh my God, she looks so good for being 63. Really? Think about it. How much surgery can you have to look like you're 23? Come on. Open your mind. Just crack it open a little bit. Crack it open. Let's break the spell of what they have had over us for all these millions and millions of years. They're smart. I'm telling you, they're very sly. But their rule is coming to an end because God has said we're done with it. It's over. You know why it's over? God wanted us to experience the darkest of dark. When you start saying it's okay to use your children as fodder, you have reached the darkest point you could ever reach. We have sacrificed our children, everybody, to this insane psychopathic energy that's just feeding. It's just eating and feeding and eating and feeding all the energy it can get because it wants power. And it has looped us back into a reincarnation cycle, not all of us, but because it wants to keep feeding. So it don't care if you die because it knows you're going to come back with the spark of God. Because you are of God. You are of the light. So that they don't see a problem with it. They just want you back to feed on you some more. They track bloodlines. They track genetics. This has been the game this whole time. So on my journey, I went from Lyria after it was destroyed. I remember being put into an escape pod. Many of us were leaving the planet in escape pods. I was put into an escape pod, and I think I ended up on Sirius because I have genetic connections there as well. Sirius A. And a lot of people don't talk about it. And when I hear about it, people say it's been taken over by reptilians. But I don't believe that. And that's a story for another time. So anyway, I believe my genetics are connected to Lyria and Sirius. Now the beings holding the genetic code for Lyria and Sirius are what is called the indigo. In the UFO field and New Age movement, they say indigo children, but we're not children. There are children coming in who are indigos right now with a more active memory. But a lot of us as indigos have come in here we've been coming here for years, hundreds of years. We're carrying that energy from Lyria, from that higher dimension. Well, I don't know what's it, the higher level of the structure is a higher density. It's from a higher density. And that energy from Sirius, we're bringing it to here because the planet needs it. Because it's of a higher vibration, it's closer to God, it's close. And there are many other beings coming from other places. And when I do the diagram later in a talk, you will understand it more, because I don't want to make this longer than an hour talk. So, and the only reason I know I am an indigo is because someone once told me, your aura is purple, and I've never seen that before. And that, like your guides, and God gives you little hints about who you are, and it's up to you to pay attention. Think back when people have told you something about yourself that you never knew. Are you thinking about it and running it through your head? Because you're given clues throughout your lifetime of who you are and what you are. And many of us have not been allowed to awaken until now, because it was a protection for us here. We have protection. Everybody has protection. Everybody has guides. You ever hear you have an angelic guide? Everybody has angelic guides. Unless you sold your soul and your soul no longer exists. Those people don't. You've already returned to God in pieces. So my story right now is to help you wake up and realize what your story is. Because I'm sorry, the energy's real tense. When you know who you are, you will not fall for this bullshit anymore. I do quantum healing hypnosis technique like many other people do. It's a type of hypnosis that was brought to us by Dolores Cannon, who I feel is an ascended master. Just watch her videos. It's very rare that you feel a person's energy that is both strong but loving. And there are many people who have diverged off of what she taught and added their own things and stuff. And I don't agree with everybody, but that's don't matter. I want you to start seeking out your journey, okay? Find a QHHT practitioner. There are even some people doing what they call beyond QHHT and other stuff like that. And start helping delve into your memories. You have to want this. You can't go to somebody and expect them, fix me. That's not how it works, and that's not why God sent us here. Start your journey. Now, I do online sessions, but I have one rule about that. You have to have someone you trust sitting there with you during the session. And Dolores Cannon didn't even want anybody in the session when you were in the session, because the higher self will not disclose information that will interfere with that other person's either life or influence. That's why I do prefer to do on-site sessions. I do sessions in my home. I have quit doing them for a while. I'm going to start doing them again in January. And I share this with love, and those of you who can think I'm crazy, I don't care. But tomorrow I'll be back on, and I'm going to share with you some more of my story and some more of how to reconnect back to God and how to understand your path. You know, we weren't sent here clueless. You know, many people have died and come here to bring light. And when I say light, light is information. Information is DNA, and DNA is everything. It's what we're made up of. It's our genetics. So we just have to know how to access it and find it. And you're not going to find it sitting in a church that just wants your money. All these big $1-million churches with all these people in it feeding energy. This gets me so mad. Just like sitting in a football stadium, feeding your energy, sitting in a concert, feeding your energy. If you know that's what you're doing and you agree with it, okay, fine. Because this place is about free will. That's fine. But I believe people should understand what they're doing. You want to feed your energy in a building at church, you need to understand what ley line does that building. Do you know what a ley line is? What was that structure built on top of? What's under it? You know, we have these rose-colored glasses on, and nobody wants to know anything. They don't want to hear about the children. They don't want to hear about anything that's going on because they don't want to be mentally affected by it. We have a group consciousness that's already being affected by it. And until you start healing yourself, you are going to end up as one of those people who have been sucked dry. And you're going to return to God in pieces. Those of us who are ready to work this out, to deal with all this trauma, to look at that dirty window, to look at the evil that's been going on in this world. You have to look at it. You need to keep turning your head away from it. You know, even in the New Age, oh, it's all light and fairy and good. No, it's not. You need to look at it. You need to acknowledge it, then you need to process it. That's the only way we're going to heal. And if you don't do it for yourself, do it for the children. Okay, I'm done. Tomorrow, we'll talk more about what memories I have of my other lives and how you can start accessing those memories as well. But the recommendations I'm going to give you today is look back in your life when someone has told you something about yourself that you totally didn't know and you just are like, oh my, that's crazy. That makes sense. Examine it in your mind, roll it over, look at it, turn it around, turn it over, because it unlocks your genetics. It unlocks your DNA memory. Our guides and God are giving us clues. All of us, we want to be that psychic who can tell you all about your life. Well, let me tell you, a lot of psychics and channelers are channeling these entities. And they make them feel good, and they make them feel like it's a good thing. You need to channel your higher aspect of who you are, your connection to God, because that aspect is what's connected to God. You know, I know a lot of people say I channel angels and stuff like that, and the angels, they're fallen angels all over this place. So if you're channeling Archangel Michael, you better make sure that's who you're channeling, okay? That's all I got to say. Because evil can come in the guise of something beautiful. Look what they've been doing in Hollywood all these years. Okay, I'm done. I'll end this by saying, I love you, my brothers and sisters. I want to leave you with that vibration of love. I get passionate because I want to see people start healing. I know I only have about maybe 9 or 10 more years on this planet. I'll talk about that more tomorrow. So I feel like I need to be speaking out right now. If I'm going to do it, now's the time. Okay. I love you. Have a great day.